which if you're not on it already, that's K.T. Hopkins. K, letter T, Hopkins has 1 million followers. She describes herself as Milo's mom, that's Milo Yiannopoulos, the female Farage, Nigel Farage, an angry Ellen DeGeneres, but straight, and she's self-described as the biggest bitch in Britain. And she's called that because of her mission of finding the truth that's not being told. And there's a lot of people that don't want the truth told, and when you do tell that truth, they're going to make them very angry at you. She also says that in 2019, the bravest of us will continue to take a battering for the silent majority in hope that others might find the moral courage to speak the truth. Much just talked about being brave. For example, a Hollywood celebrity who gets up in front of a crowd of adoring fellow liberal Hollywood celebrities and says, "F Trump!" They all stand up and applaud. And that person is now called brave. Yeah. Or Ballsy Ford, who gets $1 million to come up and lie about Brett Kavanaugh, is called brave. Well, brave, I mean, there are soldiers that go out and put it on the line, and that's brave. But brave is when you are at risk. And because of her activism and journalism, she can't get a job in UK. No one will hire her. She was sued for what she said. It wasn't false, but they have a funny law in UK. If you hurt someone's feelings, basically, they can sue you, and they did. They took her house. They tried to take her children. So brave is when you keep going when you have something to lose. And that's Katie Hopkins. She's been in the no-go zone. She's been out on the farms in South Africa where they are engaging in a genocidal campaign against the farmers there. She's been on Skid Row here in LA, I think with rather tall boots, hopefully, given how things are there. So she gets out on the pointy end of the spear we're really pleased to have here tonight. She was also the target of a jihadist plot. They wanted to behead her. So that's what brave is. As Lincoln said of Grant, the same is true of Katie. We can't spare this woman. She fights. And with that, Katie Hopkins.
You guys, thank you. That's so kind. Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you. Thank you, team. How perfectly charming. Thank you so much. You know, we don't get to see our flag very much in my country. That's probably one of the first times I've seen it in a long time. So thank you very much, sir, for that. I appreciate that a lot. Can I ask you all to take a look around the room right now? Have a look around this room and have a look at all the great people that you are sat amongst. Some of you have driven for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to be here this evening, and I can't tell you what it means to me and what it means to each other that we're in this room together. So please give yourselves a round of applause for supporting each other at this, the greatest tea party in the United States of America. Well done to the Redlands Tea Party. I'm really proud of all of you. A gentleman at the bar earlier says, "Well, look at you. You look like a pink little tortilla all wrapped up there nice and tight." I said, "You undo the zip of this, sir," and I turn into a burrito. I was up here in Riverside just a couple nights ago at the casino, the Morongo Casino. Sebastian Gorka pulled out of an event with just kind of 24 hours to go. So I jumped into a car and I drove up and I gave the speech there, and I know many of you were there. So thank you very much for being there. But I just wanted to say, as proof of how great America is, you have this thing, you have a draw and a raffle, you know, a raffle. Just checking that you have the same word. You never know with you guys. When we have draws and raffles in the UK, we give out something quite miserable, usually like a bottle of shampoo or some, you know, old shower gel that we found at the back of someone's cupboard. You want to know what I gave out for the raffle prize at the Morongo Casino in front of a bunch of 600 fantastic Republicans? 2 AR-15s. Yes, thank you. God save America. They had to kind of scrape me off the floor with my jaw half off. Is that really how it works out here? Yes, it is. So thank you very much indeed for that. Fantastic. Even though in my country we're not allowed to defend ourselves with anything more than a bottle of hand sanitizer or some Clorox, I am a fully signed up member of the NRA and I have the sticker on my car. Most mothers have a sticker on their car that says baby on board. I mean, for God's sake, get over yourself, love. I have a sticker on mine for the NRA and it says, I had it made specially, guns don't kill people, but I'm prepared to. My name is Katie Hopkins. I am a straight, white, Christian, conservative, married, surprising, mother of 3 children. I am proud to be all of those things. Proud to be all of those things. I have 3 children under 15. Most of my Muslim friends have 15 children under 3. I'm kidding, I don't have any Muslim friends. We have so much to celebrate today, ladies and gentlemen. USA unemployment is at a 50-year low. Fantastic. And you are going like good things on this economy, and the economy is part of what is going to win this next election. So well done, you guys, and well done to Donald Trump for that. It's so important. I also went to Venice Beach yesterday. That seems to be where most of those unemployed people are hanging out. So it's nice that you've got them all in one space. It makes them much easier to handle, in my experience. And you know, it's good to laugh. I'm conscious that we spend much of our time together being really serious, you know, about the hard truths that we face, and they are hard truths. Our Western culture is threatened like at no time ever before, and I bring those truths to people direct to their faces, often through my phone. And you know, the good news from across the pond is that Britain is making a comeback. Yeah, all 4 corners of it. From England to Northern Ireland, from Scotland to Wales, Boris Johnson is putting the mojo back into Britain. Boris is putting the mojo back. And I believe if we can make it through, if he can make it through the next 20 days until we leave the EU, I believe there is hope for my country once again. And I'm so, 20 days to go, and I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe in Boris, we will leave the pesky EU and the people telling us how to live our lives, what to do with our lives, and how to run them. You know, I'm certain of it. Many people out there are doubters, but I'm choosing not to be. I'm so certain of it, I have made a public pledge. Many of you may know I used to be on the British version of The Apprentice. I was a candidate on the British Apprentice. There is a loser's cafe, a place you go when you lose a task and you have to sit there being mean and horrible about each other. It's called the Bridge Cafe. It's a miserable place in London, which is also a miserable place. I have committed that if we do not leave the EU by the 31st of October, I will sit naked in the Bridge Cafe, drinking a sad cup of tea with a picture of Nigel Farage on each nipple. That is my public pledge. Yes! Come on. Some people have asked for it to be 1st of November just because they want to see me suffer. But you better hope to God that Boris does what he promised, because that is not going to be pretty. Boris has promised to put 20,000 extra police officers on the streets to reduce the shocking crime rate in London. And now, if you look like a dodgy immigrant, you can be stopped and searched. So Sadiq Khan is in for a rough time. You know, in truth, Bojo and his mojo will only buy us breathing space. It is too late for my country and to change the trajectory of my country, where demographics alone dictate that I will be a minority white by 2035, where Muslim births outnumber births to all other, and where Islam will be the most dominant religion in just a decade and a half. Mohammed is the... Thank you, sir. Mohammed is the most common boy's name, and Mohammed with a U is the second most common boy's name in the UK. If you go to any school playground in the UK right now and yell, Mohammed, 2,000 kids come running. I like to do it. I'm going to play the clip in a minute, if that's okay. And what I want to do, if we are able, with our technical genius here, is play you a really short clip. It's only 2 minutes long. Let's see how we go. It's a clip of my latest documentary, Homelands. You will be aware, good patriots, that Jewish families and Christian families are being forced out of our countries in Europe by the Islamists. If we're able to, I'm not sure how Greg feels about it. He wants me to fill for a bit, I think. I want to just play you this. I spent some time traveling from some of the darkest places in the UK to the Islamist-controlled suburbs of France, and then to Israel, following Jewish families being forced out of Europe by Islamic hate. And I told their stories as I went with them to show that they have to leave the place they used to call home. The warning from my Jewish friends and families is that we have to treat every day like the 1st of September 1939.
In Western Europe, a silent exodus is underway.
There are huge changes afoot here, barely perceptible to outsiders.
Across the UK and Western Europe, Indigenous people have watched their countries change beyond all recognition. This is a silent retreat of Jews and Christians from Western Europe.
Try and beat you down with that all the time, far right, you know, and it's not the case. I mean, when people like me, just working class English people, you just feel like a second-class citizen.
Sabotage's different.
Area for a white person.
Sabotage is a no-go area.
No-go area for a white person.
Going to the synagogue on Yom Kippur, I passed a cafe in the street and 2 men came out and told me I'm a dirty Jew.
Katie, you are in trouble. And you are in a big trouble. Because you are not safe, and we are much more safe than you.
Sometimes, Katie, I ask, they don't have eyes, they don't have hearing, they don't see what's going on.
What we are heading for is a Muslim-dominated society that we cannot accept it. From this angle, it's a hellhole.
On September 1st, 1939, the Nazis invaded Poland, World War II began, but it didn't start on September 1st. And some Jewish communities in the world should treat every day, this might be September 1st, 1939.
In Germany, before the war, the pessimist ended up having a swimming pool in Hollywood, and the optimist ended up in Auschwitz. Being Jewish in Europe now, you can't be optimistic.
So that's a sort of sad kind of cataloguing, I suppose, of our times. People are on the move out of Europe because they no longer feel safe there. And I was fortunate to show Homelands, the documentary, in the heart of Jerusalem. Many thanks to the mayor of Jerusalem for that. But you know, Israel has so many things so very right. I'm such a big fan of that country and Trump's support for it. Firstly, Israel told Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar that they were not welcome in their country. Fantastic. Which does rather beg the question why America hasn't done precisely the same. Secondly, Israel has built a bloody great big wall. Sorry, I said I wouldn't swear. 3 meters thick and 8 meters high to protect its border, tall enough so a man cannot climb nor fall from it without being broken, and it extends under the ground to stop these terrorists tunneling their way through. It is fantastic. 3 meters thick, ladies and gentlemen. That is thicker than AOC. Really, truly. And Israel makes families accountable for their children. If your Palestinian son attacks an Israeli, the IDF will tear down his home and blow up your house too for raising such a beast. Israel has many things absolutely right. And finally, Israel is committed to national service for all. Not some kind of conscripted servitude, but as a shared endeavour to help build a country and hardwire its values into its young. Britain has just had its 9th consecutive year of military decline. There is very much that we could learn. You know, the official line in Israel is that the Dead Sea is the most dead thing on the planet. Jewish people have clearly never met Joe Biden, is my learning from that. The Dead Sea is also 200 meters below sea level. They say it's the lowest place on earth. They have never been to DC. But of course this fight is real, and it is serious, and it is urgent. And in our efforts to fight back for our country and our culture, I fear that the lowest blows that we face are not the murderous acts of terror that I see in my country, but the slow death of a country meted out by journalists, editors, and their supplicant news anchors dealing in misinformation or disinformation. The New York Times changed a front page headline because its readership found it to be insufficiently anti-Trump. You know, they're scheming to make Trump some kind of racist that he clearly is not. These people are morphing the truth of our patriotic pride into white nationalism and then white supremacy before our very eyes. Declaring that you are white and proud of your country now somehow is supposed to make you a white supremacist. If you are black and proud of your country, now you're supposed to be a white supremacist. It makes no sense whatsoever. I am a woman with short hair, but I'm not a footballer or a lesbian. Those are different things. It's hard to get our heads around. I am a proud nationalist and I am white, but I'm not a white nationalist. I want everybody to be as successful as everybody else, but we only do that by working as hard as we can for the country that we love. You know, my children even own a black goldfish. We call him Bernie Sanders because he keeps his gold well hidden. But the media would have you believe that white is bad. You know, they would have you believe that when we observe the different way the media treat terrorist attacks by Islamists versus recent attacks committed by, for example, a white gentleman with a gun. The response to Islamist terror in my countries and in European countries is well rehearsed. Thoughts and prayers, candlelit vigils in a public square, stage a Muslim solidarity event where Muslim women hand out flowers to make us feel better, turn off the lights of the Eiffel Tower, get the head of the police to warn that the main concern now is Islamophobia and Islamophobic attacks in the wake of an Islamist terror attack. But you know, contrast that with the response to an attack by a white guy with a gun. Number one, blame Trump. You know, whatever happened to those thoughts and prayers, guys? 2, blame the NRA. This was where the candlelit vigil bit was supposed to be. 3, demand weapons confiscations or a weapons ban. But wait a minute, last time you just talked about how we had to be kind to each other and turned off the lights on the Eiffel Tower. Blame all white people, call all white supremacists, you know, make white bad. And it's that last point, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, that is the most stark. After Islamist terror attacks in my country, where our children are run down, blown up, gunned down, or stabbed in the street, we are warned repeatedly not to blame all Muslims. We are warned to the point that a representative of the religion of peace feels confident enough to say that 9/11 was some people did something. I mean, seriously, guys, but after a white guy goes on a shooting rampage, it's simply unthinkable to say someone did something. All whites are to blame. They make it, such as celebrity white faces start apologizing for their whiteness. And it's not enough to observe the hypocrisy of the thing. We have to resist this narrative being hardwired into us, that white is bad and the other is good. It's like George Orwell's Animal Farm. 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. And the simplicity of this takeover of our countries is too horrific. And it's incredibly upsetting to watch how easily it is that we kneel down. How willingly New Zealand knelt down and handed over its weapons, which it currently is doing as part of a state buyback. That is code speak for confiscation of weapons. Just as Britain continues to cow down before a religion seeking to change it beyond all recognition. How easily we relinquish our freedoms, and yet how hard the fight to recover them when they are lost. In Hong Kong, protesters gather in their thousands to protest against a new law forcing extradition to mainland China for those suspected of committing an offence. Protesters endure beatings, tear-gassed, arrest, snatch squads, the threat of another Tiananmen Square, and yet they still gather to fight back lest their freedom be taken away. And yet some of our countrymen, some of my fellow men, seem to roll over, supplicant, proffering up our weapons, bowing our heads to some guilt we were told we were supposed to feel. 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. America, the Tea Party, Redlands, all of you must fight right now with the determinations of the protesters in Hong Kong, taking smoke grenades to the face. We must fight with the immediacy of my friends in South Africa, white farmers saying they will make a last stand for their land. They say to me they will die in their boots for the love of their land. We would love to bring them here. You never know, you might be getting me before too long too. So I can't come. Being here for me is like being in a warm shower. It's really enjoyable. Where I live, I always describe it as being in a cold bath, but I can't leave because of the ladies and gentlemen that send me emails to thank me for what I do, and to say 80, 75-year-old ladies and gentlemen who email me and say that they're glad their time is nearly up so they don't have to see their country fall. So I will stay and I will fight for them. They take our freedom to speak without penalty, and yet many of us wait. They ban weapons, they confiscate guns wherever there is strength, and yet we wait. Wait as their installed leaders change our prayer book and our anthem, and the new Americans imported for votes applaud them and vote them all the way to Capitol Hill, all the way to the mosque and the multi-faith prayer room that you will soon see in Capitol Hill. The time is now. The time for self-protection is gone. I went through the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst. I was sponsored there by the Royal Intelligence Corps. Sandhurst is like your West Point, but just, better. And joke. Don't try that joke in America. We trained under the motto. We started as a platoon of 30 girls. They called us the Lumpy Jumpers. Some of our lumps were slightly more disappointing than others. And I came out the other side as one of 8 girls that made it through. But I tell you, we trained under the motto, serve to lead. And by serving our soldiers, we earned the right to lead them into battle. But I feel that maybe the Israeli Defense Forces have it better. They say, follow me. They are only willing to ask their troops to do what they are willing to do themselves. Follow me, no matter what. Follow me even if it's painful. Follow me even if it hurts to be shamed by friends, to be ostracized by your own children, to be unspoken to by people who used to be your best buddies before, to be forced out from places where you used to be welcome, asked to find another church, another synagogue, another venue, suddenly uninvited. Follow me. And you know, that's why we're here tonight, because we have people with us who stand to say exactly that. Each of us here believes in the unparalleled force for good that is Western civilization, that is our heritage, whether we were born here or not. They will take things from you. Would you mind putting up our slide that we have? We all have to pay a price for speaking out. I had a couple of jihadis who fantasized about killing me. A team of MI5 Secret Service individuals turned up at my house with my children in the countryside where I keep them to try to keep them safe, and fitted my home with panic alarms. I was told that if a couple of jihadis broke into my home, I should run to the top floor, shake a panic box, and the police would come. They call social services on my children to try to have my children taken from me. And social services come, and I absolutely respect that they come. I applaud their work, but I do believe there are children out there who desperately need their help more than mine. And just to frame this up, in my country, if you have my political beliefs, are a strong conservative and are proud of being of your nation and proud of being white and someone that's a patriot, you are no longer allowed to adopt children in the UK. So it does make that my children are at some risk. After the jihadi attempt was foiled, and these two jihadis were put in prison, the state then commissioned a play using taxpayers' money. Those are the billboards that went up around the country in the United Kingdom for the assassination of Katie Hopkins. The left thought it was a jolly good laugh, but I had to explain to my 72-year-old mother why these posters were up on the countries and on the sides of buses in our capital city. But you know, there is no shame in any of this, and there is no pity nor sympathy either. One of the very great things about them taking everything from you, your jobs, your homes, your head, which they failed, is that there is nothing left to take, and yet this fight goes on, and they still will not silence those of us who are determined to fight back. So we are in this fight, and we will not give up. My argument is that fear can be overcome, and I have none of it. But the threat that we face cannot. What we may lose in our lifetimes, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing compared to what our children will lose in their lifetimes. What country do we leave the little ones of our little ones? What good wealth in this life if there is a paucity of culture for the next? What good being liked by everyone if those who hate us will take what is ours? You know, my message to America and to the great people here at Redlands Tea Party is, do not let yourself fall as my country has fallen. Do not let yourselves become the United Kingdom. The time to fight is now. And I am here to tell you that we are many, that we stand strong together, that you are a family that is fighting for your country, for what matters. And if you need to look to anyone, I just say to you, follow me. God bless Redlands. God bless this Tea Party. God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you. Please sit down. Please. Thank you. Please sit down. You'll get tired. Don't, you'll set me off. I can't cry because I'm supposed to be a tough biatch.
She has a reputation to defend. If anyone has any questions, come up this way.
Don't be shy, you can ask me anything.
Come up this way while someone's working their way up here.
Okay, and I am impossible to offend, so it's a genuine offer. You can ask anything you like.
Agnes.
I don't really have a question. I just want to say thank you for giving us courage to fight in our own country, because I know Europe is having a real hard time. And thank you for fighting there, because it will affect us here too. God bless you.
Thank you, lovely.
So Katie, another fighter, Tommy Robinson. What's the update?
Okay. So the update on Tommy Robinson, I recently went to visit him in prison. He was in prison for contempt of court for standing on a sidewalk, repeating information already in the public domain. It was already on the BBC. We have never ever in the UK ever put someone in prison for contempt of court. They imprisoned Tommy Robinson. He was given 9 weeks in the end, so I went to visit him in Belmarsh, a prison. And he was kept in isolation for 9 weeks, which actually in this case was a good thing because it's kept him safe. His first time in prison, when he was imprisoned unlawfully by a judge acting without integrity, without following due process, it was true that he was nearly killed in prison. He wasn't able to eat for his whole time there because in our prisons the Muslim population are in control. The Muslims also make the food. They used to pass Tommy his tray of food and say, "Enjoy that, Tommy." And of course it meant he couldn't eat the food because he didn't know if it would be glass in it or whatever. So this time was much better. I will say as a funny story, when I went to see him, he wasn't, "Sir, can I ask you to just go outside to make that call? Thanks, because about 800 people in here are trying to listen to something else." Super. Yeah, you know, manners. So Tommy, when I went to visit him, he had this, they're not allowed a blade, they're not allowed a barber, so he had this full beard down to here, and then he had this huge head of hair, and he looked like a climate change protester. And I was like, "Tommy, mate, I can't speak to you because I can't concentrate on your face because your face is inside the body of a climate change protester, and that's crazy." Anyway, the governor also came down when I went to meet Tommy. He was a very nice gentleman, and he really had done a good job of looking after him. The town that I was in, and Belmarsh is in, is the same town where we lost the gentleman that was in the forces. Do you remember the soldier that was macheted in the street? That's the same place. I was the only white woman in that town. It is a very hostile environment. A gentleman, a coloured gentleman, who was on his phone and recognised me when I was on my way to visit Tommy, said, "Hey, Katie," it's not in that accent, "Hey, Katie, it's a bit diverse around here for you, isn't it?" And I turned back to him, I said, "Yes, son, it is now that I've arrived." Yeah, the only white woman in the village. Anyway, so Tommy Robinson is out now, but actually something I've not disclosed yet in public. Last week the police came to well, no, that's quite right. I no longer own anything because I can't. Anything we own is in my husband's name. The house that my husband has his name on, my children were at home. My husband had just quickly popped out to do a run with the children. You know how it is. So 2 of my children, small children, were at home alone, and the police came to the door. They knocked on the door and they tried questioning my children. "Where is mummy? When will mummy be back? Where's mummy gone?" And it turns out the same QC, that is a gentleman of the court, the same judge that put Tommy Robinson in prison, had issued an order against me for my Twitter feed and threatened me with the same contempt of court proceedings last week via my children at my house that I don't own, that's in my husband's name. So this is the way they go after us to try to silence us. But frankly, not wishing to be rude, I promised I wouldn't be rude because this is Redlands and I respect. But that judge can quite frankly stick it up his arse. I apologise. I'm not going to be intimidated. My children won't be intimidated. And if I go to prison, so be it. But we will keep talking the truth. And The thing that he wanted to do me as contempt of court for was speaking about majority Pakistani Muslim rape gangs that are targeting our young white girls. And that's the tweet I had to remove. Next question, thank you.
John.
Yeah, Katie, I admire your courage. Thank you. I mean, it's just inspirational, your level of courage. But my question is, what is it about political correctness that causes otherwise rational people to think like a bunch of Marxists? I mean, what is it that captures their brain and stops them from thinking critically?
Yeah, I think the thing is we haven't got people that aren't thinking in the UK, even though we were called deplorables like you were. Anybody that voted Brexit was told they were stupid. But one of the great mechanisms of controlling a population is people's mortgages, people's jobs. You need your job, you need to pay your mortgage on your house, you need to keep your family fed, and that's how we control a population, by showing that people like me that put our heads above the parapet lose their jobs, by showing that you won't be able to, you know, somebody retweeted my tweet the other day in the UK, they lost their job that same day, they were a firefighter, they lost the job for retweeting me. You know, I've been arrested on a number of occasions for things I've written, and we have a hate crime police unit set up by Sadiq Khan. Can I get a boo? Sadiq Khan has a hate crime police unit specifically for policing hate. You know, we banned someone from our country, a journalist the other day, for future hate speech, as yet unsaid, that might upset local communities. And by local communities, they mean Muslims. You know, that's the level of darkness that is befallen the UK. So people are afraid to speak because they need their jobs, and I completely respect and understand that.
Jean.
Yes, Katie, God bless you, keep you safe, and thank you for everything. When will Boris Johnson do something to help the Hong Kong protesters, since they are in violation of their treaty at this time, because we all fear for them, we see what's happening, and it is really becoming a critical issue.
I think I got down a little bit too.
The Hong Kong protesters, will Boris do something about it? I think what you've seen here in America is a very similar thing, which is that people are frightened of China. And it's a very distressing thing to see. It's that people are silenced by the fear of China and their need for a relationship with China. But hopefully, you know, having watched the Hong Kong protesters fly the American flag so brilliantly as part of their, I know, just emotional scenes, and flying the Union as well. You know, I think for all of us, and these are the things I can use my Twitter account for, it's why reach matters, by having this ability to show Hong Kong that we stand with them. Anytime that you hashtag or talk on social media or make a video where you support Hong Kong, you know, they really appreciate this support. And we really are a family. From Poland to Hungary to Hong Kong, the UK, we're a family. And we stand together, and you guys, I'm sure, are aware, Poland and Hungary are right there with you. They are standing up for our Christian culture. They have not built a single mosque. They do not accept immigrants into their country, and they are where we look. So when families like mine look to where we will go, we look to Poland and Hungary as possible places. They are our kind of Israel, yeah. Do you want this?
Sure. Okay, in a related area, well, again, thank you so much for everything you do. Other than some policy of, let's say, mass deportation, is there any way of dealing with the demographic problem of, you know, otherwise ostensibly legal Muslims having 10 kids and just populating Europe out of existence?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, and it's why I say there is no long-term hope for my country, because we are being outbirthed. 2035 Muslim births outnumber births to any other, and so we only have a period of reprieve, if you will, which is why we have to be here. We will end up down the South African route. South Africans now are about 5% whites left on their land. They are preparing to make a last stand. They are looking at retreating to a defendable space. They are training at the weekends with weapons and arms, and they are preparing to fight a last stand for their land. And I think we will go there. Yeah. maybe we shouldn't have done that unannounced. But that's fine. Leave it up now. It's there. That's fine. So sorry, sir, to your question. We only have a limited amount of time left before we will either have to leave or Muslim culture takes over. There is no way of fighting back against that. Thank you very much for your question. I'm sorry for the segue.
Before you leave that subject, what about Hungary's measures, such as, I think it's $35,000 that they will give you for 3 children married?
Yeah. I'm going to say it's going to be awkward to talk about Hungary with this behind me, so I'm going to address this first. Those of you that have asked, and I put this up for a reason, I'm sorry if you're trying to eat. People, many of us have challenges in life, and I understand that. And sometimes people with conditions, long-term conditions, many of you in here will have survived cancer or be battling conditions right now. And my thing to you all is always just to hang on in there and have faith. And it's part of my faith in some bigger force out there. Call it Christianity, call it God, call it religion. This is my head 2 years ago. I was epileptic. It was the reason I had to leave the army. I had a 35-year regular commission, but I was medically discharged because I was epileptic. It got to the point where I was having 4 or 5 fits a night, and my fits used to dislocate my arms. So a couple years ago, a brilliant team of surgeons went into my head. Those are staples going from one ear to the other, and it explains my short hair, whilst when I say I'm not a lesbian, I'm just an epileptic. So they went in and they got the little tumour out that I had in there, and I no longer have any fits. And that's why we can believe in some far higher, greater force. You could probably get rid of that now. But I put this up there just because in case anybody has, I had the gift of never giving my epilepsy to my children, but for anybody out there who has children or grandchildren with epilepsy, there is hope and there is a cure, and I don't have fits anymore. And to the point of Hungary, neatly segueing there, they are fighting back. They will reward their population for having children. They do not allow any LGBT issues to be discussed in their schools. They do not allow gay pride in their streets. They do not even allow any of it, and they have specifically groups that go around supporting traditional marriage and the traditional marriage in schools. It's completely 180 to where we are right now, and I'm trying to organise tours and trips to Poland and Hungary, which I can let you know about with some of the Law and Justice Party there, because I think it's a great way of reminding ourselves that there is hope, because Poland and Hungary are fighting back for traditional marriage, for Christianity, and for Western civilization.
Yes.
I was pleased to be at the American Freedom Alliance and hear you speak the other day. I was so inspired once I left there, because all over the world they are fighting the same battles we are right here. And in some places, maybe you could talk a little bit about South Korea, what we learned about South Korea.
Yeah, well, just briefly, so it was a conference with people from all over the world, but it was people from all over Europe that are struggling in the same way we're struggling. South Korea was incredible because they're going through exactly what we're going through as well. People in Hong Kong, really grateful for the support they feel, and actually people left there feeling really uplifted and overwhelmed by the sense that you're not alone. And I think it's one of the key messages is all, because it can be so lonely, and every time you maybe talk to someone, or maybe you're wearing your Trump hat or your PIN badge, it is an access point for someone. And very often I find, and there is a lady here who's 16 years old, where is she? There she is. Can you stand up for 1 second while I humiliate you in front of the whole room? 16-year-old individuals who are carrying the Conservative torch forward, the Republican light, keeping it alive. It is often young people, thank you ma'am, it's often young people who feel the loneliest actually. And just on a side note, whilst I forgot to say that Boris Johnson is obviously under attack in the same way that they attacked Trump, So people are coming out the woodwork and saying, oh, he did this to me, he did that to me. A lady came out and said, I say lady, she came out and she said, Boris Johnson grabbed my upper thigh 20 years ago. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if Boris Johnson grabbed my upper thigh 20 years ago, I still would not have showered today. So this is the sort of fight back we have going on. He is a very nice man. He has had quite a few ladies in his life. He's probably had more ladies than Clinton, and I'm talking Hillary. We see you, Hillary. But yeah, I think what we can look forward to is Donald Trump and Boris Johnson stood together on the White House steps. We are headed back then to Reagan-Thatcher years, and we're on some of the greatest times. These are going to be good times to be alive if we can just fight like hell now. Yeah, really.
Can we take up a collection and get a comb for Boris?
Well, the great thing about Boris and Donald is they both have equally terrible hair. So between them, it's just going to be glorious.
Shirley.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you much.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, Boris, when he took his office, it seemed like he was going to make a clean break from the euro. And now it seems like he's kind of backslid and he's going to do it little by little. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Or am I taking this wrong?
No, you're not taking it wrong at all, ma'am. You are receiving what's being delivered at you. And what the mainstream media are desperate to do is not make Boris Johnson true to his word, which is I'm going right on out there, which is why I'm going out there with that big naked pledge of mine with the Nigel Farage on the nipple thing, because I believe he's going to give us the best Brexit we can possibly get. There's a day coming up called Super Saturday. It's 19th of October. Is where Boris comes back from the EU. He will either have a deal, which he will have negotiated, or there's going to be no deal. And frankly, no deal is great for me. I'm all about saying, do one. I don't care, we don't care, go away. But Boris Johnson has made very clear, if he does a deal, he's not going to be told what to do on Ireland. He's not going to be told what to do on how much we're going to pay them back. He's been much more stringent. So the mainstream are desperate for us to not believe in Boris and not believe in Brexit. And I'm here to say, back Boris, believe in Brexit, believe it's going to happen. I believe it will happen. Yeah.
Dean. Hi, Katie. How are you? As a disabled veteran who just last month actually had my vehicle blown up in my parking lot because of wearing a Trump support shirt, Veterans for Trump shirt that I got from the campaign, I just want to tell you thank you for the fight you put in, because it's inspiring to a lot of us, and people like myself are out there trying to fight here. They don't realize what's really coming, and the message you're putting out is so important to get hold of. And just again, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Yeah, the attacks are real. But what I would say to you, people always say, well, you know, in fact, the leftists, they sort of hope it. Do you get attacked in the street? Are people unkind to you in the street? All of that. And I don't get that at all, actually, which is why I think the Trump hat, the Trump pins really matter. In the street, I get people coming up to me, shaking my hand, but they have to do it secretly so they're not seen, because they can't be seen to be talking to me, because I'm obviously, you know, ostracized from everything. So the other day I was in the supermarket and I was buying do you call it toilet roll here? Bathroom tissue? What do you call it? Toilet paper. Toilet paper. I was in the supermarket. I'm just checking. You probably call it something really polite, because Americans do that. Bathroom tissues. Right. I was in the supermarket buying toilet paper. And because we have a big family of eaters, I was buying them in bulk. Just saying. I've got 3 children, you know how it is. So I was buying this enormous thing of toilet paper, and I was down in the aisle like this in a supermarket, and a guy comes up next to me, and I thought, what the hell? And he goes, I just want to tell you, I think you're great. But he had to run away, run into the toilet roll aisle in Britain to be able to tell me, because you can't say that sort of thing by the tills. Oh, no, no, no. Hey, on one note, where is the gentleman that runs this place? Is he somewhere? Can we get a round of applause for this venue, standing strong with you guys? I'm so proud of this place.
Jim and Mary Beth own this place.
Oh, come on. Brilliant.
We are so fortunate to be able to meet here.
Yeah, just absolutely terrific. If there's anybody that's fighting with us, it's venues that will still have us. So absolutely salute those people. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tim.
If you could speak to the pastors of America, what would you tell them to tell the sheep?
If I could speak to the pastors, and I try often, it's time for us to stand up and be counted. This is no time to be polite. We have to call out Republicans who are not Republicans. We have to call out the people who are not our friends. And we have to be prepared to not be liked by everybody in order to be liked by the people that matter most. This is time for pastors of America to tell their congregation to fight right now, because this really is it. We are reaching the end of days if we do not fight this fight. So pastors of America, for God's sake, get behind Donald Trump. We need Trump in the White House, and Europe needs Trump in the White House as well. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Hi, honey, how are you?
I'm good.
Fabulous gal, fabulous, I love her. I want to ask, I think it's really odd that we're not hearing enough of this. We call these people in Europe the crazy ones that are doing all this damage to us, but we don't address them directly. Why don't we use the name New World Order? Because that's what these guys are. Why are we not doing that?
Well, sometimes I think we get kind of carried away with these terms, New World Order, the globalists, the supranational organization. And I think I always just go back to, you know, for me, I am a regular mum. And we've got loads of stuff to do. Regular people have loads of stuff to do. Regular Joes have to get to work. We have to get back again. We have to make sure our car has got insurance. We have to make sure our house isn't burning down if we live in California. Half of California right now is without power. You know, I'm laughing really at the fact that Californians got sold on the idea of electric cars. All the lefties and the Democrats with their Teslas. Yeah, how's that going for you right now? I say to people who are without power in California, and I'm not disrespecting the danger of wildfires, I absolutely respect them, but I say if you want to know, you need help, you need advice about how to live a life without power, just ask Hillary Clinton, because she's never really had it. So yeah, yes, I think what we have to do is always try, for me, it's always about we had this conversation earlier as well, how do we take our fight down to the level of average Joe, regular me as a mum, buying my toilet tissue in the supermarket. What matters? And what joins us? It's not politics. I think it's being parents. It's caring for the next generation. It's caring for our family. And I think when we talk about issues at the level of our family, that's where we win. And I think that's why your schools campaign is so critical. Trying to keep the trans message out of our schools is absolutely imperative. Trying to fight back for the right of our children to just be children and not have this stuff fed down their throats. I think that's where we reach a point of unity, because that isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. That's just being a good parent. So that's why I try and take the fight down to that level. Hello, you.
Jackie, cheer up a little bit, okay?
Hi, Katie. Thank you for all you do as well. You're absolutely right. I'm known as a local Trump lady here. Not just myself, but Joanne. And we go on the corner, and we've done it for about 3 years. And we sell Trump shirts and hats and all that. I wear it every day. I'm proud to wear it. It's time not to be silent anymore. I have a 92-year-old client. I'm a caregiver. And she has a Trump 2020 shirt. And so when we have shopping day, we wear our Trump shirts in the store, and we're there probably an extra half an hour of getting compliments at how people love Trump. And we need to do that more often. Don't be afraid. God said, don't worry about how you're going to die, but how you're going to live. And just to address the New World Order, that's in Revelations, and that's the demon we're fighting. Thank you, Katie.
No, very good. Agreed. You guys are all like doorways. You are the access point. You are the entry point for other people. And as much as I've promised to kiss every one of the 64 million Americans that voted for Trump, if you can bring one person with you to the ballot box that you have been like a door and opened their way into voting for Trump, that's how we win this thing, is by getting people out to vote. Yeah, absolutely.
John.
Thank you, Katie, for being here. It means the world. I joined the Tea Party in Beaumont Cherry Valley about 2 years ago, and I've been an investigator for 29 years, and I was on a government contract with LAPD and LA Fire for 14 years. until this past September a year ago. And I received a mandatory disclosure document that they required for me to continue my contract for LAPD and LA Fire from Mayor Knucklehead Garcetti and De Fiera, Mike Fiera, the city attorney. So anyway, the question one on that was, do you own slaves? Question two, have you ever owned slaves? Question three, it's your due diligence as a licensed investigator to do background investigation over the last 200 years of all your family heritage and report back to us if you own slaves. Question four, everybody take their pill. Question four, are you in any way engaged or in a contract for security and investigative services on the wall between California and Mexico? So all I'm going to say, I can't say any more about this, but thank God for the NRA.
We have one more. We have our favorite white supremacist here.
Woohoo! Hey, sir.
Kenny, you're going to have the last question, so make it a good one.
I want to second in a man, my brother over here, who said he was an investigator. I graduated from the San Bernardino Sheriff's Academy 90th session. I owned a business in the Inland Empire since 1991. One of the largest security companies in the area. One of the largest minority-owned companies in Southern California. But when they learned that I was a black Christian and that I supported Donald J. Trump, my business has been eviscerated. It's gone. I just wanted to second what he said. It's real, ladies and gentlemen. This is now, not tomorrow. So those of us, like Katie, what she's saying, someone will try to say she's a white supremacist, and because she's pointing out the suffrages of South Africa or whatever, we got to be larger than that. We got to be smarter than that. It is a new world order. We're all in this together. Those of us that believe in freedom all around the world have got to come together. Black, white, green, blue, and orange. This is existential, and it's now.
Thank you, Kenny.
I just wanted to ask you, one, friend me on Twitter. I'm up there. Get me. And that's one. And two, what authority and power does the Queen have? What is her standing on this situation?
Okay. So a big round of applause for our favourite white supremacist in the room. Good man. Thank you very much. I'm very sorry about your business. This is what they do. And they don't do it even... It's the price we pay, sir. And they don't even do it, you know, sir, to take away what you have because you are one. They do it to show others. They do it to warn others. Look, see what we did to him. You do that, you speak out, and we'll take what's yours as well. So that's really, they're using you as a sort of messaging point to light up what they're doing. So the Queen. So speaking obviously on behalf of the Queen, as I am authorised to do. But let's pretend, shall we, just for funsies. So I think she's definitely for Brexit, because when Boris went to her and said, I need to shut down Parliament because they're rubbish, she said, okay, and she shut it down. So yes, boo to the Queen. If I was also the Queen, I would tell Meghan Markle to do one. I've never seen a less royal member of the family than Meghan Markle. I'm very sad that we have her in our royal family. You know, Prince Harry used to be a whole lot of fun. If you ever wanted to find Prince Harry, you'd find him naked under a pile of very good-looking girls, usually in Vegas causing trouble, or in a mountain somewhere shooting at animals. Prince Harry was the most fun man I've ever known. Now, he's like a vegan at a wedding. No one wants to sit next to him, and I blame all of that on Meghan Markle. I digress. The Queen definitely wants Brexit. We love the Queen, and I think she just wants the boys to hurry up and get the job done, because she's been in the job for like 70 odd years and has always just got things done. It's time we got Britain moving. It's time Britain stopped gazing at its navel. And anytime you hear about Boris, please just back Boris. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie. You certainly did not disappoint. So not only for coming here tonight, but everything you do for the cause of freedom. I show your appreciation.